Good morning. The next lecture is Andrew's experiment on CO2. Andrew's experiment on CO2. Let us first draw the experimental setup used by Andrew. This is Figure 1. A and B are two glass tubes. A and B are identical glass tubes. These tubes have thick capillaries at the top. So this is a thick capillary at the top of tube A. This is a thick capillary at the top of tube B. Initially, in tube A, dry air is allowed to pass. Dry air is allowed continues to pass through tube A for very long time, and after that tube A is sealed. Then in tube B, dry CO2, dry carbon dioxide is allowed to pass inside tube B for a long time, about 24 hours. About 24 hours, dry carbon dioxide is allowed to pass into glass tube B. After that, tube B is also sealed. Tube A and tube B are then opened under mercury. Tube A and B are then opened under mercury. A mercury pellet is allowed to pass. A mercury pellet is allowed to pass in both the tubes by repeatedly cooling and heating the tubes. After that, tube A and tube B are placed in a H-shaped copper vessel. This is a H-shaped copper vessel. Tube A inserted in this leg of H-shaped copper vessel. Tube B is inserted in this leg of the H-shaped copper vessel. This tube is sealed on top side. This is the thick capillary, thick capillary, thick capillary. This H-shaped copper vessel has SS steel stoppers. SS are steel stoppers at the lower end of the copper vessel. These steel stoppers are just like these screws. These are moved inside. The copper vessel is having water inside. So what will happen? As these screws moved inside the copper vessel, the mercury pellet will move upside, will move above the copper vessel, and a liquid will enter, that is water will enter in this tube as well as in this tube. Tube A and B both are calibrated so that volume of air in A, volume of air in CO2 in B can be easily measured. This is water bath inside the H-shaped copper vessel. by screwing in the steel stoppers inside. Any amount of pressure can be applied on air and on carbon dioxide. Equal amount of air and carbon dioxide are filled in tube A and in tube B respectively. Equal amount of pressure by screwing this stopper inside, pressure acting on the air and pressure acting on carbon dioxide can be increased. Pressure acting on air and pressure acting on carbon dioxide will be same. CO2 in glass tube B can be kept at any temperature. The temperature is held constant and pressure is continuously increased on both the air in tube A as well as CO2 in tube B. And the readings of pressure applied and volume of air as well as volume of CO2 are noted in a table. This experiment is performed at different constant temperatures. Andrews performed this experiment at different constant temperatures. And for these constant temperatures, he noted variation in volume of air and variation in volume of carbon dioxide with increase in pressure. After performing this experiment very carefully for the air as well as for the carbon dioxide, he plotted the isothermals. The isothermals of air will be just lines of this type. We are not interested in the isothermals of air. We are not interested in the isothermals of air. We are interested in the isothermals of CO2 because this is the Andrews experiment on CO2. So we are interested in the isothermals of carbon dioxide. Isothermal, the curves plotted at constant temperature between pressure and volume. These curves are known as isothermals. Let me repeat the experiment. Glass tube A, glass tube B are identical glass tubes. On the top they have thick, on the top here they have thick capillaries. In tube A, dry air is filled for long time, approximately for 24 hours. In tube B, dry carbon dioxide is filled for long time, approximately 24 hours, and after that these tubes A and B are sealed. These tubes then opened under mercury, and a small pellet of mercury is allowed to enter into these tubes by cooling and heating these tubes repeatedly. After that, these tubes are inserted in H-shaped copper vessel. This H-shaped copper vessel is having water inside. This water can be kept at any temperature, so temperature of air and CO2 can be measured. It can be held constant at any value. Tube A and tube B are calibrated so that volume of air in A and volume of carbon dioxide in B can be easily measured. At the lower end, this copper vessel has SS stoppers. These SS stoppers are steel stoppers. These are actually screws. You can move the screw inside or you can move the screw outside. By moving the screws inside, the mercury pellet in this tube will be moved up in the glass tube, so it will be above the copper vessel. By moving these screws SS inside, pressure can be increased on air as well as on carbon dioxide. Pressure acting on air will be equal to pressure acting on carbon dioxide. Because of this liquid bath inside the copper vessel, any constant temperature can be maintained. So CO2 can be maintained at any constant temperature. By keeping the temperature constant at certain value, pressure is increased and the volume of CO2 in B and volume of air in A are measured. This is continued till a large pressure is applied and the volume left in the tube B and in the tube A of CO2 and water will be very, very small. We are not interested in the isothermals of air, as I told. We are interested in the isothermals of carbon dioxide, because Andrew wanted to study isothermals of the carbon dioxide, and so he noted the readings. He kept the temperature constant at some value, increased pressure, noted volume of CO2 at every step of increase of pressure. One set of observations. For second set, he changed the constant temperature to some other constant value, did the same experiment again. He repeated this experiment for various constant values of temperature, and after that he plotted the isothermals on a graph paper, and these are the isothermals for carbon dioxide. These are the isothermals for air. We are not interested in the isothermals for air, we are interested in the isothermals for carbon dioxide. This is the isothermal at 13.1 degrees Celsius. This is the isothermal at 21.5 degrees Celsius. This is the isothermal at 31.1 degrees Celsius. This is the isothermal at 32.5 degrees Celsius. This is the isothermal at 35.5 degrees Celsius. This is the isothermal at 48.1 degree Celsius. Let us study the isothermal at 13.1 degrees Celsius. What we find here in the isothermal at 13.1 degrees Celsius, as the pressure is increased, the volume of CO2 is, this is volume axis, this is pressure axis. This is volume axis, this is pressure axis. As pressure is increased, the volume V of CO2 starts decreasing. From point A to point B, CO2 is in gaseous state. From point A to point B of the isothermal, CO2 is in gaseous state, and we find that with the rise of pressure, the volume is decreasing. This is continued till point B. After point B, we find that with almost no change in pressure, pressure for this horizontal line is almost constant. We find that volume of CO2 decreases very rapidly from B to C without any increase of pressure. The volume of carbon dioxide automatically decreases from B to C by very large value. It indicates that The carbon dioxide here present in vapor as well as in liquid form. Without increasing the pressure, the carbon dioxide start converting from gaseous to liquid state from B to C. From B to C, there is conversion of carbon dioxide from gaseous to liquid state. That is shown by a horizontal line BC of the isothermal at 13.1 degrees Celsius. When we come to C and increase pressure by large amount, we find that volume is constant. There is no change in the volume. We don't find any change in volume of CO2, although pressure is increased from this much value to this much value. This is because at point C, whole of the carbon dioxide is converted to liquid, and compressibility of liquid is negligibly small. Therefore, no compression, no decrease in volume is shown by CO2 for rise of pressure from this value to this value. This is about first isothermal. Let us go to the second isothermal, which is drawn at 21.5 degrees Celsius. What we find here, as pressure is increased from E to F, the volume of CO2 is continuously decreased. From F to G, we find that without increase of pressure, volume of CO2 decreases continuously from F to G, which is represented by a horizontal line. Here, CO2 present in vapor as well as in liquid form. This part of the isothermal at 21.5 degrees Celsius represents that carbon dioxide is converting from gaseous to liquid form from F to G. If we further increase pressure from this value to very large value, we don't find any change in volume from G to H. Volume is remaining constant. It means that at point G of this isothermal, CO2 has completely converted to liquid, and therefore after rise of pressure by large amount, there is no change in volume of liquid carbon dioxide. Then let us go to this isothermal at 31.1 degree. What we find here, as pressure is increased, volume is decreasing continuously, it will just touch this dotted area at point P. And again, when the pressure is increased, the volume is decreasing. Rate of decrease is very large up to P. After P, the rate of decrease of the volume is slower. This point P is known as critical point. This point P is known as critical point for carbon dioxide. If we go for this isothermal at 32.5 degrees Celsius, we find that nature of this isothermal is almost same as nature of this isothermal. Here we find that there is a continuous decrease in volume of CO2 with continuous increase in pressure. The same is true for this. The same is true for this. Behavior of this and behavior of this is different. Here it shows somewhat decrease here, rapid decrease here, and then linear decrease. But this shows a linear decrease. It means that if temperature of a gas is below critical point, if temperature of a gas is held constant below a critical point, then by applying pressure alone, the gas can be converted to liquid. If temperature of a gas is above the critical temperature, whatever amount of pressure you apply, the gas is not going to convert in liquid. The gas will not be converted to liquid if you are doing this experiment at a temperature above the critical point. And therefore, one thing is very clear from this experiment, that if we are doing the experiment of study of isothermals of any gas, this is we are talking about carbon dioxide, the same can be talked about any other gas. We found here that below the critical point, if we apply the pressure, if we increase the pressure, the carbon dioxide may be converted from gaseous to liquid state. But if the same thing is done above the critical point, the gas could not be converted to liquid. So this point P is known as critical point. The critical point is having three different state parameters. The critical point has some temperature, the critical point has some pressure, the critical point has some volume. The temperature below which, by increasing pressure alone, if gas is liquefied, that temperature is known as critical temperature. The point is known as critical point. Below critical point only liquefaction of a gas is possible. Above critical point, liquefaction of a gas is not possible. The temperature of the gas at the critical point is known as critical temperature, and critical temperature is temperature of a gas such that below this temperature, by increasing pressure alone, the gas can be liquefied. That temperature is known as critical temperature. The volume of the gas at critical temperature is known as critical volume. The volume of a gas at critical temperature is known as critical volume. And the pressure at the critical point, the pressure at the critical point applied on the gas is known as critical pressure. The volume of a gas at the critical temperature and critical pressure is also the critical volume. Few conclusions can be drawn from Andrews' experiment on carbon dioxide. There is no difference in the phase of vapor and liquid of a gas. You cannot distinguish between vapor state and liquid state of a gas in the horizontal portion of the isothermals. So there is no distinction between the vapor phase and the liquid phase of a gas at the horizontal portions of the isothermals. This is because the gas is present in vapor form as well as in liquid form at these portions. These portions can be drawn for various isothermals below 13.1 degrees Celsius, and this area, this region is corresponding to all the isothermals for which gas is converting from gaseous state to liquid state. This is the first conclusion that can be drawn from this figure. In this region, there is no distinction between the vapor state and liquid state of a gas, in this case of CO2. The second conclusion, whenever we are studying isothermals of any gas below critical temperature, it means that if we study any gas below critical temperature, it is found that any gas can be liquefied by applying the pressure alone. If we study a gas below critical point, then just by applying the pressure alone, any gas can be liquefied. It is true for all gases. We find that no gas is permanent gas. Any gas can be converted to liquid provided that the pressure should be applied on that gas below its critical temperature. Oxygen can be liquefied below its critical temperature. Nitrogen can be liquefied below its critical temperature. Hydrogen can be liquefied below its critical temperature. The critical temperature for oxygen is minus 188.8 degrees Celsius. The critical temperature for oxygen is minus 188.8 degrees Celsius. Sorry, minus 118. Minus 118.8 degrees Celsius is the critical temperature for oxygen. For nitrogen, it is minus 147.1 degrees Celsius. For hydrogen, it is minus 240 degrees Celsius. This way we can find the critical temperature for any gas. It is not needed that you remember critical temperature for all gases. Large number of gases are there. You can perform this experiment and can find the critical temperature for any gas. And what we found here, the critical temperature for oxygen is minus 118.8 degrees Celsius. Critical temperature for nitrogen is minus 147.1 degrees Celsius. Critical temperature for hydrogen is minus 240 degrees Celsius. So, if we apply pressure on oxygen below this temperature, on nitrogen below this temperature, on hydrogen below this temperature, these gases can be liquefied. So, no gas is permanent gas. Any gas can be liquefied provided that pressure on that gas should be applied below its critical temperature. Third conclusion that we can draw from this experiment is, there is no difference in the density of a vapor and liquid state of a gas below critical temperature. Below critical temperature, density of vapor of a gas and density of liquid of a gas is same. There is no difference between densities of a vapor and liquid of a gas below the critical temperature. This is about the Andrews experiment on carbon dioxide. So, this is the rough idea about Andrews experiment on carbon dioxide. This is the experimental setup. I told you everything about the experimental setup, and after that this is the study of isothermals of the carbon dioxide made by Andrews. This is about Andrews experiment on CO2 carbon dioxide. Hope you got it. Thank you.